With certain muscle cars, the fewer they made, the cooler they are. And that's the case with this one, a 70 Dodge Challenger TA. Many people equate muscle cars with drag racing. After all, these things are very strong, straight line performers. They make a lot of power, they go straight real quickly. But at the same time, there was a bunch of muscle cars that were designed to be more of a road racing car. The car we're looking at this week is a 1970 Dodge Challenger TA, which is the street version of a Trans Am Series race car, but sold through your Dodge dealer. And the way this all worked out is back in the late 60s and early 70s, the SCCA, or the Sports Car Club of America, had a racing series called Trans Am. And a lot of these cars in Trans Am were basically American muscle cars that had some limitations put on them as far as the size of the engine and the modifications you could do, but they raced on road courses. And it was a really exciting series, and it was very, very popular enough so that the auto manufacturers got involved and actually made street versions of the race cars that you saw on the track. And there was more to it than just popularity, because the rules of Trans Am dictated that if a manufacturer placed a car in the racing series, there had to be a street legal version of the same car for sale to the general public, and there had to be at least 500 of those made. So here's where we see the Plymouth Cuda AAR, which was the Plymouth Cuda version of the race car, and in this case, the Dodge Challenger TA. And it's kind of funny, the TA stands for Trans Am, but Dodge didn't have the rights to use the name Trans Am, so they went with TA instead. Pontiac had the Trans Am. They licensed the name from the SCCA so they could use it. In fact, the story goes that Pontiac had to give the SCCA $5 per car as a licensing fee to use the name Trans Am. But at any rate, what we have here is a really, really clean 1970 Dodge Challenger TA. They didn't make a whole lot of 1970 Challenger TAs. Total production came to 2,399, with 1,410 being automatic versions like our car is. The Challenger TA package is about performance, but it's also about style. This car's got a functional fiberglass hood. It's finished in a surface called Organisol, which is a satin black texture. There's factory installed hood pins. The style continues down the side of the car. You've got steel wheels that are painted body color with just a small little hubcap in the middle. There's a stripe package. It goes up the side of the car. It's got the TA logo on the fender, and below that it says the 346 pack. It's got another styling exercise with the bullet sport mirror. The exhaust exits in front of the rear tire instead of coming out all the way in back, again, to look racy. The rear tires are actually taller than the front ones because that provides kind of a staggered tire rake. And they wrap it all up in the back with this molded in ducktail spoiler that's again finished in that satin texture. And these cars are interesting because the engine is a 346 pack, 340 cubic inch V8 with 3 two-barrel carburetors sitting on top. They rated it at 290 horsepower, 290 foot-pounds of torque from the factory. Of course, most people will say they made a lot more power than that, and they kind of sneaked around with the horsepower curve and the RPM. So they think if you spun it a little bit higher, it made more power. But they were rated a little bit lower because we were just starting to see the limitations put on these cars by insurance companies, which kind of crushed sales. So the legal cubic inch displacement limit in SCCA Trans Am racing was 305 cubic inches. And Dodge made a version of this engine that came in at 305 cubes, but for the street, they didn't want to go through all the custom parts, so they sold people a 340. And people on the street weren't upset with that because these 340s were really good performers. And what you got was a small block with a car that had a high RPM, free-flowing engine, and it was a lot of fun to drive. The other part of the Trans Am package was the appearance package. And these cars had a whole bunch of unique parts, starting with the hood. It's a fiberglass hood with a deep snorkel air scoop on the front, a chin spoiler down low, special wheels that were Challenger TA only, the graphics package. These things had stripes on them. Of course, one of the most prominent features is the megaphone type side exhaust, which really makes these things have a nice unique sound. It's not an unmuffled pipe, but it has that appearance of a race car exhaust. And something else that's interesting is this is the first car in American automobile history that was built with two different sized tires. The front are an E60-15 and the rear is a G60-15, which means the front tires are a little bit shorter, giving it kind of a race car aggressive nose down look. Just kind of a neat little piece of Challenger trivia, because there are a lot of things that are unique on these cars. So what would you do with a car like this? Maybe post up a comment on the Facebook page or in the YouTube comments and tell us. We're always interested in getting feedback from our viewers. And we've got more pictures and info about this car on our Muscle Car of the Week website. And we will see you next time.